My name is Darren Hupke, and this is Pixels and Polygons, part of the Soundstone Network. Welcome to a new episode of Pixels and Polygons. I am Darren Hupke, the host of the show. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back and checking out another episode. Hopefully this is another entertaining one for you, and I appreciate you for coming back week after week. If you are new, it's a simple pitch. I sit down with a guest each week and I ask them a video game related prompt or question, and we talk about it. It's 20 to 40 minutes or so each episode. This can stem from topics like what's a underappreciated or below average game you love that doesn't get enough attention, or what is your history with video games? When did you start playing and when did you fall in love with them? Or why do you play the games that you play? It could be a lot of different things. The conversations can go in a lot of different directions, but the point is just to have a great and thoughtful conversation that maybe sparks your own ideas or your own interests as a listener to think about your own responses, and hopefully just have some fun along the way. If you like what you hear and you want to support the show, I've got a few different ways you can do that. I have links in the show notes below to everything that I do, and I'll highlight one of those in particular. Beat 'em Up Volume 1 is a love letter to the genre. Volume 1 of the series breaks down the Final Fight franchise and covers the entire series. So you get histories and development details, artwork, screenshots, magazine scans, a lot of artifacts from the era covering every game in the franchise, from the 1989 arcade original all the way up to 2006 and the release of Final Fight Streetwise. There's also chapters that cover where this series is now, its appearances in other properties like Street Fighter, comics, TV shows, cartoons, all those types of things. So if you're a fan of beat 'em ups, if you're a fan of Final Fight, this book has all the history and all the details I hope you will enjoy and love and find something new about one of my favorite franchises of all time. You can buy it physically over on pixelsandpolygons.net, but you can also buy digital copies over on my Patreon shop. Links to all of these will be in the show notes below, but check it out. Beat 'em Up, Volume 1. With that out of the way, we can start the episode right after an ad from one of our Soundstone Network partners.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I'm Nick McConnell, and you caught me reading the instruction booklet for Street Fighter II in preparation for my weekly stream Instruction Derby, where I take a look at the creative, fun, and sometimes bizarre lost art of video game manuals. Did you know that, according to the manual for Street Fighter II on the Super Nintendo, Ryu was born in 1964, making him 62 years young, canonically? Happy birthday, Ryu. You're looking great. Did you also know that, per the manual for Laser Invasion on the Nintendo, the UN enters a conclave in order to select a new commando? Or did you know that the dancing enemies in Super Castlevania are named Paula Abgul and Fred Askare? These important facts and many more are discovered every Wednesday at noon Pacific on Instruction Derby over at internet website twitch.tv/Nick McConnell. Part of the Soundstone Network.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Pixels and Polygons, a conversational podcast about ruined the title. And I don't edit, and I like to kind of do it live feeling. So this is all part of the episode. This is a conversational podcast about video games. I am Darren Hupke with now returning guest. How you doing, Christopher? Welcome back to the show. Thank you for doing this again. I mean, we're sitting back to back and recording these things, but thanks for putting up the time to do this with me again.
Oh, absolutely. Doing great. Glad to be back.
Talking about video games is always a good break from anybody's day, I'm sure. I'm sure it's worth just kind of taking a little break anyway. So again, thank you. We are back with another topic. This one, this is I did like a soft refresh of my show's questions. I consider this the season 3 era of the show. And so this question we're going to do today is a new question. So I haven't, I think only one other person has actually answered it. And I don't think at the time of this recording that it has aired yet. So I like the idea of having this question being asked. So I'm curious to hear your answers and the conversation that comes from it. But before that, what are some, I guess it doesn't have to be a modern game, but what are some games maybe you're looking forward to playing that you haven't played yet? Is there anything on your backlog that you've got at the top of the list that you're excited to start, or are you currently playing through anything now that you'd want to share?
You know, I just downloaded 3 games today that are on my backlog that I'm planning on playing. I will mention The Tourist. I believe this originally came out for the Nintendo Switch, but I got it on the PlayStation 5 right now. Are you familiar with this game?
Oh, wait, yeah. Well, as soon as you said that, I thought of Tourist Trophy, which was the motorcycle like Gran Turismo game by Polyphony on the PS2, I think. But no, The Tourist... I'm thinking of a game maybe I think called The Forest, which was like a first person like survival island thing. So no, The Tourist, I don't think I am familiar with.
Yeah, so it's like a definitely third person, made in kind of a voxel looking world, very bright colors, and it's kind of a puzzling platformer kind of game. I don't know a ton about it. I've heard great things about it, and it was recently on sale, and I've been looking at it for a while and said, picking it up. So I'm really looking forward to that one, just as one that's recently downloaded. Mina the Hollower, though, that's probably the game I'm looking most forward to this year, not later on.
Yeah, that one does look fun. Another good like indie game designed with a sense of nostalgia, but with a twist on things that just make it feel like modern and new. And it's always a good time. So yeah, fun. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for letting me know. Keep me up to date on those gaming trends. You know, it also gives me an idea of some games to play. But after talking about our last episode, I think I already have a game to play next. But still, I do like to know what other people are doing and playing and everything. But that being said, then I've got another icebreaker for you. If you're ready to go, I'm going to hit you with maybe a little bit of a harder one here. If you think you can handle that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so 2-part question. Let's just talk real quick. What is one of your favorite gaming franchises, gaming series, gaming franchises? What's one of your favorite one that you can think of? It doesn't have to be number one, but what is one of your favorites?
Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank. Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, yeah. I love especially the latest entries of that series. Awesome. Okay, so my question for you then: you are now tasked with giving the franchise a new title, and you cannot use the words Ratchet or Clank in its title. So rename this franchise, and maybe you can sell a few more copies with this name. Let's see what you can do on the spot with this marketing change.
Ratchet and Clank. Spacefaring, Lombax, and Robot. No, I feel like I keep defaulting to the Legend of Zelda kind of a thing. Lombax Adventures or something like that. I think Lombax Adventures, if it were started in like the PlayStation 1 era, kind of like Crash Bandicoot, it could have continued on. Nowadays, I don't think it's going to sell many copies with that title.
Yeah, I think it's just a classic sounding title. I think it's not one that's like a trendy, like modern thing that would be, you know, like just an adjective or what's that game that just came out? I guess not just, but ooh, it's like O, but with like a little, like the 2 dots above it. And it's, yeah, and because that's what the little in-game character looks like, because you like plant bombs of yourself and everything. Like, I mean, that's all like a meta contextual within itself and everything. Like that's modern. Yours, this is more of it gives you that classic traditional, like, you know, gaming vibe of like what, like the title is just kind of presenting with you, you know, this, and then the game is going to do all like the heavy lifting to take you on the adventure and the journey and like the adjectives of it all. So
yeah. And we can
that's
still
fun.
have the double entendre and puns in the subtitle, but
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. But Ratchet and Clank, though, I love that's one of your favorites. I played the original PS2 one. I skipped all the PS2 sequels, Ratchet and Clank Future, and like the downloadable ones on PS3. Like I did not play those. I just enjoyed it from afar, like having played that first one I didn't even see it through. But once that the animated movie came out and they kind of relaunched that Ratchet and Clank game, that was my because my oldest daughter was at that time, I mean, maybe she was like 4 or 5 or so, so I was like, hey, we'll kind of like look at this and watch us play this together. Maybe she'll want to go watch the movie as well. And so I played through that game and just loved the hell out of that game. Like I thought it just played and looked well and was super entertaining. It was like a nice little like up-resed version of that original idea. But then when that next one came out, why am I forgetting the name of that? Rift Apart. Yeah. When that came out, just being a technical marvel and technical showcase with all of it, and not like with just like gross, realism and like dirt and debris and all that stuff. It was just all done through like nicely like animated, cool, colorful particle effects, like the fur rendering and like seamless loading stuff. Like that game was just so fun. And so now it's like, I definitely think I would be like, I want any new Ratchet and Clank. I don't know if we're likely to get anything anytime soon, but I definitely am a big fan. I appreciate the series far more than I did maybe when I skipped some of those older console titles.
Yeah, I think the first one I played was Secret Agent Clank on the PSP, and didn't think much about it until, like you, the movie came out, and I had a PlayStation 4 and played Ratchet and Clank. And from there, I just got hooked. And there's a Ratchet and Clank collection for the Vita that I picked up. And when they announced Rift Apart, I was like, the minute I get a PlayStation 5, I got to get this. So fun. And a game that I revisit sometimes just because it plays so well. Both of those do.
Yeah, I have a PS5 Pro now, but I know they did add like that an extra visual mode that like kind of fused both like the ray tracing and visual effects with like the frames per second. It's like a 40 frames per second like cap or like low end, so that if you had one of those TVs that supported kind of like that I forget what they even call the technical like aspect of it, but basically it can kind of help stretch it and keep it at like a stable looking 60, but with like all the fidelity of the graphics and everything. Like they're just really smart engineers of like hardware and technology. So I think it would probably be worth going back just to kind of like see it kind of maxed out visually in a way that even though it already looked originally, like it looked amazing. So I just love how technical Insomniac is with the hardware and everything.
Yeah.
So it's probably worth replaying anyway. But fun. All right. Well, hopefully that got our minds melding, and I guess it didn't do anything wrong in my mind. I'm blanking on my words, so maybe we need a second icebreaker or something. I don't know. But we have a topic here. This will get us talking, and this will get the juices flowing and everything. But for the episode's topic today, the question that you had selected to want to answer is the what do video games mean to you? So more along the lines, I'd love to have a conversation about, like, why do you play the games that you do? Like, do you have like favorite genres and styles? But like in general, like gaming, you talked about a little bit on the last episode when you shared about your background and your interest in how games are kind of like an escape for you. Like, maybe we just elaborate more on that. But yeah, so let's throw that question out there to you, Chris. What do video games mean to you?
Yeah. So, I know it's probably been a few weeks since people have heard my background story, but so video games kind of got introduced to me primarily through the arcade. I did have a Game Boy and Tiger Electronics LCD games, and my good friend had an NES and then a Super NES and then a Nintendo 64. But if I were playing games, it was in the arcade, which was social in some aspects, especially with the fighting games that I enjoyed. But there was a very specific kind of game that played there. I didn't get like my first bigger consoles until I was in college with like a PlayStation 2. And then I didn't get an Xbox 360 until the system was almost like done. But I think the way that I look at games is they're kind of a complement to my life. In the same way that music is another huge thing in my life, and I pick certain kinds of music based on what I'm doing and what I want to feel. I feel the exact same thing about games. Having had as much exposure to the games that I do have, the different genres, much like music, there are certain genres that I will try to appreciate, but I can't. I find the same with video games, but I feel that as life has changed, in my teens and then 20s and 30s and now my 40s, with a career and in a family with kids, video games have been there, but they've kind of moved around. If I'm looking for something that is a quick hit, high skill ceiling kind of a thing, I love rhythm games. At the arcade there was Beatmania and 2DX, which I'm a huge fan of, and have turntable controllers. I've been playing Spin Rhythm recently, DDR briefly. That's one that has a very high skill ceiling, but something that just feels good in the moment. There are shooting games, probably one of my favorite genres. People will call them shmups, STGs. Not a huge fan of the word shmup, but shooting games like Mujihime-sama, Ketsui, Galaga, Space Invaders. Definitely something that was very present in the arcades growing up. Thinky games that kind of push my brain to learn something new, like even Sausage Roll, Matrix Parabox. Really, games that I will often think about outside of the actual puzzle that I'm doing. There are times when I'm just like making dinner and I'm like, oh my God, I solved the problem. I need to go. And I just stop what I'm doing. Like, and talk to my partner. I'm like, you have to take over real quick. I need to do this real quick.
Those are good moments. Yeah.
Racing games. It's like, there are so many different things that kind of, that it's nice. It's almost like being a DJ in a club or on a radio, which I've done in the past. I've been a radio DJ, but it was just, you're kind of controlling the mood. And sometimes you want to, feed into the current mood, or sometimes you want to change it. And I feel like video games do that so well, and I love them so much for that. So they have a huge meaning to me.
It's interesting you say it like that. Because like other passive hobbies or things that some people do to kind of like escape or decompress or relax or whatever it may be, like they dictate the terms at which you enjoy or experience whatever it may be. Not to say that one's better than the other or anything, but if you put on a movie, like you are not in control of what it is that you're seeing there. It's just being displayed to you and you're along for the ride. But kind of like what you're sharing, it's with video games, you set the tempo, you set the pacing, but you can also pick a style of game that allows you to be more in the driver's seat, or less even if you wanted to, and you have more of that. I mean, of course, like that's what makes games special, is the interactivity, but yeah, to be able to like be a participant in the entertainment, I think is what has always made like games special for me. Is it's as much as I have creative desires and things like that, I can't always fulfill like everything, but like being able to express or experiment or interact with like my entertainment and be involved in it, like it always has like video games be like far more like valuable, quote unquote, to my entertainment time than like a book or a movie or something would have. which is kind of interesting to think about. Music is also a very important thing in my life. Like I'll be turning 40 this year, but I'm still a person who goes to live shows, and I'm still one who will be in the crowd and, like have to move around and have to like, be present with the song and all stuff. I mean, I'm not going like too crazy, I'm not a teenage Darren or anything, but like still like being able to like understand the nature of like, I've seen the band Bad Religion, like in the 30s of like number of times in my life and everything, but like I'll still be in like the pit area, quote unquote, but like I'm not the shirtless, sweaty, old dude who's running around like, knocking kids over and all that stuff. But like I can find that middle sweet spot, and not be bothered by being bumped occasionally, but people typically will respect the older dude in the center of it all, like singing along and like having a good time and having a good outlet. That to me is being able to interact with music in a certain level, which I think is similarly, I think it's that same hit to my brain that I get when like I'm playing a really good video game and like engaged with it and all that stuff. Like, I mean, I guess my analogy somehow is saying that Blueprints is the same as Circle Pit of Bad Religion's live show. Somehow those two things are the same in my brain, which is the craziest, I think, sentence I've ever said in my life. Right. But,
right. And it's so interesting that, and I never really thought about music as passive. And same thing with video games. And I don't know if you're like this, but I definitely am. People are like, "Oh, that's a podcast video game." I can't fathom that. I need to pause a video game if someone is talking to me, because I am very present. It's the same thing with music, as I am present, but I am I'm controlling it. I cannot be distracted when something like that's going on. I don't know.
No, 100%. I've heard people say that, and I agree. Like I can think of maybe 3 or 4 times where I've played a game where maybe I've been like grinding for like items or money in an RPG, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like I can put a movie on here, but like oftentimes, like those are like some really like classic RPGs. Nowadays, like modern games, they understand pacing and flow like a lot better. So you're never really like throttled with like, oh, you've hit a difficulty wall, you've got to go spend 7 hours, running around in a circle battling these monsters to get stronger. They don't necessarily make them that same way. So it's not really necessary now, but I definitely am not doing that. I want to be engaged with it. I want to be involved with it. Like I am, 100% pausing it. If a child comes up to ask me a question, I'm like, yes, I'm present. I'm your father. Let me pause my video game. Let me stand up and care for you and then see this thing. Awesome. Okay, I can return to my space now. Got it. Now unpause and let me focus back up and everything. Yeah, I don't want to miss something there at all.
Yeah. And I find that similar with music too. Like I like to listen to an album front to back. I don't think I've ever purchased a single in my life. And I don't like things skipping around very much. So yeah.
I love that too. It's funny that I've always been the same way there. When I was younger, my first listen to an album would be buying it, sitting down, like, hey, leave me alone for a little bit because I'm going to be listening to this front to back, first song to last song, with like the liner notes and the lyrics in front of me to like read through it as I'm listening to it. And I'm like, I've got to make sure I fully get what they're doing here for a second. And then like once I like remember some of those lyrics or like have read the backstory and some of the liner notes about the production of it and all that stuff, like then I'm listening back to it, and yes, I can do this while multitasking or driving a car or something like that, but I want to be like very present for like that first experience or exposure to something like that. And it's the full album. Like I hate it when people say, it's an album track versus like a single or something like that to me. I'm like, no, like somebody, like the band put together that album in that track order for a reason, for like for pacing, for progression, for whatever it may be. Like, no, you got to experience it all. You can't just listen to that one thing and then skip it when there's like 30 seconds left. Like listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's how
we share the same frustrations.
But yeah. So what, so I guess you talked about a couple of your favorite genres there, what do you think it is about those genres that speak to like that type of interactivity and exposure and attention to like the games that you play? Like, or are there other genres even that, you also appreciate and play through?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. doing this for as long as I have, like, why do you pick the game that you're in the mood for right now? Having had the experience that you've had for 30 plus years of playing these things, I'm like, I don't know, it's just what I'm in the mood for right now. But I think I would kind of go to the extremes. Things like role-playing games, as much as I love them, as much as I enjoy going through Final Fantasy VII Remake, it was a 60-hour-ish game, and that's difficult for me. With the amount of time that I have, with my commitments and the amount of time that I have with the big screen, if you will. But I was ready for it. I was ready to sit down and have that experience and, read that copy of Moby Dick, or, just be in that world, knowing that I could always kind of dip into other games, but that was the journey that I was going on. I feel like a majority of my games are smaller. If something is pushing 20 hours, then I start to, have to really think about it. But then again, I'll play 20 hours of a rhythm game or 20 hours of a shooting game. It's like, it just depends on the mood. I've also, I guess, as a little aside, having started with a Game Boy and then picking up Wonder Swan and Wonder Swan Crystal, and I have just been, portable gaming has been so just core to my gaming experience that oftentimes playing on a big screen is not like priority for me. Even, like when I have days off, I will play on a portable screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a very specific kind of game that comes with that, much like the arcade. These games are built to be consumed in smaller chunks. If you play really, really well, you can go for longer, but these are chunk kind of games, where you decide how many chapters you want to do at a time. And a chapter isn't going to be 5-6 hours.
Yeah. No, again, you're dictating the terms at which you are being exposed to this, and so that's you get the control over like how much or how little, and being able to do that helps you be engaged with it like for whatever length of time that you're allowed. And yes, as life has gone on, we get smaller windows of that time frame, but I'm a huge rhythm game fan. I think I'm somebody who luckily was blessed with a good natural sense of rhythm and everything. And like probably a lot of people have not put that to practical use. Have not taught myself how to like play an instrument per se. I mean, if you have a like if my daughter, she's 13 now, if she said she wanted to start like some punk band and she needed a guitar player, like I definitely have the skill level to play with her on that, but anything beyond that cannot do it. But rhythm games have always been something I've loved as well too. What were the earliest rhythm games that kind of exposed you to that genre and that caused you to kind of fall in love with it? And we'll go from there.
Well, so in Chicago, like a bus ride away from me was an arcade called Diversions. And Diversions was I don't know what the proper word is, but it was an arcade where which was a main test site. Midway was in Chicago, and Konami had used this arcade as well for like, Midway was dropping new builds of Mortal Kombat, 2, 3, Ultimate, stuff like that. Konami put in a Beatmania cabinet and DDR cabinet. And so going there is where I was exposed to both Beatmania and DDR. DDR became a big thing in my life for a few years. Beatmania was actually a little bit more difficult. We actually found it easier to find DDR cabs like around the city than Beatmania cabinets. I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed pressing the buttons when things got to the bottom. But then Frequency hit on PlayStation 2, and that was just like the soundtrack was amazing. I have so many bands that I still enjoy because of Frequency. And then Amplitude came out afterwards. Wasn't as keen on on that soundtrack. But Guitaru Man, another big one on the PlayStation 2. I'm blanking on other stuff, but it was then, Beatmania came out for the Wonder Swan, and I purchased that. There were a few Game Boy versions of Beatmania, which I also enjoyed. DJ Max came out for the PSP, and that was another time when I just kind of went back into the rhythm genre. And I think that, it's one of those where you gain the skill one point in your life of hitting a note by whatever part of your body, feet or hands, when it gets to this specific spot, and it translates. And so, it's easy for me to pick up different ones and kind of get the gist of it. And so, nowadays, just picking up Spin Rhythm XD, which I did, 2-3 weeks ago, and I'm just enamored by it. It's extremely enjoyable.
That's fun. Yeah. Again, we're recording this back to back. It's going to be weeks later by the time people hear it. But I was just at the Game On Expo out here in Phoenix, and they had a bunch of free play arcade games, like a really good retro gaming convention should have. Mm-hmm. But they had a bunch of like import like music games and things. But they had a theater rhythm, I believe that's how it's pronounced, the Final Fantasy like music Final game. Fantasy one. Yeah. Yeah, there's an arcade version of it, and I had never seen that before in my life. But I absolutely love that game. Like I got the platinum trophy for that last PS4, the curtain call version of it. Absolutely love that game. And the arcade controls like took me one song to kind of get used to it. Mm-hmm. But the second song I played, I did on an unbroken streak with no notes missed, and like triple S ranking on it and everything. And it just was like riding a bike. Like rhythm games, it does not, like, if you are a fan and you have that in you and all that stuff, like I think it's the UI and it's the vehicle that changes, but like the core like gameplay of it, like that's always something you kind of like got in you to like be able to like find success at and everything. So it's always fun to like I love just finding some new rhythm game or new excuse to kind of like tap my foot and stick to the beat and test myself there in those ways. It's different than playing a Resident Evil or something like that, which I can't do anymore because I'm too scared as an adult. But fun. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. I mean, like the shooting games, I guess, like you mentioned some of the classics already there that like Galaga and things like that inspired you. Are there shooting games? Like, what are some modern recommendations? They don't have to have come out recently, but what are some recent shooting games that you've played and enjoyed that you would recommend to people who want to like dabble in the shooting genre themselves?
It's been a while since I've picked up a new shooting game. The things that I love about the shooting games and that genre specifically is that they feel pretty evergreen. The way that I play them specifically is I do like to go for the one credit clear, as if I were playing in the arcade and not continuing. So you kind of go, you start your game and you go until you die, that kind of a thing, or you run out of lives specifically. Any game by the company Cave is particularly amazing. They had released games on the Xbox 360. They've got a handful on the PlayStation 4 and 5, and some more on the Switch. So they're kind of all over the place. Mushihime-sama, also known as Bug Princess, but I don't think if you look for Bug Princess, it's going to come up. But Mushihime-sama is by far one of my favorites, and Ketsui is another one. And these are ones that, I think Mushihime-sama came out in 2002 and Ketsui came out in 2003. So they've been around for a while, but they're still just very, very good. Definitely, manic shooter kind of a thing, bullet hell. I guess one of the more recent ones, and I think we're going to run into the same kind of thing of saying that Hyper Light Drifter was a recent game, even though it's a decade old now. But Crimson Clover, that one came out for the Switch. That is a newer game in the style of the cave shooters that definitely took into account, like, this is going to have a really good novice mode and kind of teach people how to play shooting games. So, yeah. And there's a great thread on the insert credits about shooting games and all the recent releases. So, but yes, the classics, I call them classics. You know, anything from from Cave are going to be, it's going to be pretty special.
Gotcha. Well, I think it's going to now be your bit for any other episodes you come on, but making sure we drop the insert credit forums to ensure that people are also checking them out. Cave, they like Death Smiles and things like that. To me, in my head, bullet hell games, I've never been able to fully feel skilled at. Like, I love playing them, and I love like a good giant screen clearing, like laser explosion, and really the visual effects they can give you. But like finding that true like next level like mastery skill, I've never quite been able to find in myself. Like, I always want to like know and see, and maybe even ask people, like, how do they find the hitbox, or how do they know like what to look at and center your eyes on to like dodge some of the bullets? Because like in my head, it's like, oh, if it touches any pixel, I'm gonna die, right? But like, no, there's like a core of your ship or whatever it is that you're controlling, that's what you primarily, that's all you have to worry about, like protecting and centering on. But like that's how the games are designed. Like, there is some things that bleed outside of that hitbox that you don't have to necessarily worry about per se. But like, it's sometimes when those games can get too epic and too crazy, like that's where I'm like, oh man, like I just don't know exactly what my limits are. So once I figure that out, I feel like this will be something I'm going to be good at, but I still haven't ever committed that time to doing that yet for a game like that. But I do love like a good bullet hell game. Is still fun to play, you know, even for just a little bit, just to kind of visually kind of test yourself and to mess around with.
Yeah, and it's a bit like a rhythm game. You know, it's the kind of game that has low barrier of entry and a very high skill ceiling, where, you know, you can start off at novice and things get better, you know, as time goes on.
Yeah. Fun. Well, yeah, thanks for answering this question. I mean, I like specifically, like I said, this was a season 3, like a refreshed, newer question, you know. So I like kind of seeing where this conversation takes us. So it was fun chat with you about this, though. But anything you want to plug or share or promote or highlight or remind people about before we wrap the episode, Christopher?
Well, we did start talking a little bit about shooting games. Bog Hog, Boghog, he does an amazing collection of writings that are available for free on Patreon about skill and specifically shooting games, but he also does like beat 'em ups and 2D action games too. So if anyone's looking for some extra reading, pretty good stuff there. Okay.
Nice little friendly plug there. Cool. I will see if I can find the link, and I'll put it in the show notes when the episode goes live for this as well. But Christopher, thank you for joining again. I'm glad our orbits have somehow allowed us to kind of cross paths and everything. And again, like talking to new people about video games is always fun. So I appreciate you staying in contact with me, getting a chance to connect in Portland, and finally been able to get this on the books. But it was fun talking with you. So obviously we'll have to plan in advance to make sure we get you on in the future and you know, find the times that work. But you are definitely welcome to come back, and I look forward to hopefully being able to connect with you again.
Absolutely. Me too.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to the show. That's it for another week of the show. Come back again next Friday. New episodes will be available to you. And if you're a Patreon supporter, I never do this in the show, and I probably should, but if you're a Patreon supporter, you can get episodes a week early for just $1 a month. So it's kind of a simple thing to do. But yeah, that's all I got. Otherwise, thanks for listening. Come back next week. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.
Listen to Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. Hosts Gooey, McKenna, and friends flashback to the 90s and early 2000s with a look at the Nintendo 64's catalog and its contemporary cultural and historical context. Starting with the console's launch titles and proceeding in release order, we discuss classics like GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, and Star Fox 64, as well as some not-so-beloved games, lesser-known titles, and everything in between. Along with game-specific deep dives, we also cover other bits of pop culture from the time, like films, music, and more. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.